Are you pumped to catch the latest in sports? What's something people don't know about Mike and Darren's podcast? Stick around to find out. This week on the Around the Ballpark podcast, we're covering everything from home runs to touchdowns. Baseball's heating up with some jaw-dropping plays. Who knew the outfield could be this exciting, right? And in football news, our favorite teams are making headlines. We've got game-changing plays, underdog victories, and more drama than a soap opera. Seriously, you can't make this stuff up. Mike's got the stats, Darren's got the jokes, and together they've got the scoop on all things sports. It's like hanging out with your best buds, but with a whole lot more trivia. So if you're looking for the ultimate sports rundown, hit that subscribe button. And as always, until next time, we'll see you around the ballpark.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. We are live to the Around the Ballpark podcast. Thanks for being patient, and we are here. It is Sunday night, January the 12th, 2025. Darren, how you doing tonight?
I look so forward for this every week. I really do. It's like it's Wednesday. Okay, what are we going to talk about? And we were supposed to have a guest. And here, listen, I'm going to start with that. Right? Let's just actually, I'm not going to start with that. I'm going to start with something else. I got not one, not two, not three, but four different people saying, "Where was your brother during the last podcast?" They love your background. They absolutely loved your background. Seriously.
Yeah, I gotta find out exactly where I'm at. But
it was great. So here's the thing. Now, I was this years old when I still don't have the proper answer to this. So maybe I'm going to ask our viewers, our listeners, maybe you, because I always mess this up. We were supposed to have a great guest, to join us, who wrote this unbelievable true story. And if you like crime drama, if you like all that good stuff, this is the book. And I want to talk about it in a minute, but I still don't have the grasp of what next Sunday means or next Wednesday. See, I always thought that meant the next one that's coming up. But I also hear that it means the following week. It means like not the one that is this week, it's next week. So I messed that up. That's total. So which one is it? Mike, help me.
So we actually differ on that in this house too. So when I say this, it's always within the next 6 days. When I say next, it's the following week. Because if I say next Thursday and it's Tuesday, to me that means the following Thursday. So
yeah. I fell into that trap, unfortunately, that ugliness, and that's how that happened. Because when he said, "Yeah, next Sunday," next Sunday, like 3 days, totally my fault, and so that's why our wonderful guest is not with us right now.
Well, that's okay. We got wonderful people in the chat. I just want to shout out. Looks like we have Isaac in the chat. Isaac was with us a couple months back. We did a softball episode, and so glad to see you here. And Michael Clark as well, and Eileen, of course. And she's mentioning about the when I say Eileen mentions when I say next, it's literally the next day coming up. So
I just it's still shaky to me, but I'll have to go with what you were saying because again, I don't realize. My whole thing is if that day hasn't passed yet, it's the next one coming. But I'm wrong. I know I'm wrong.
But that's okay because now we get to promote the guest for a week and people.
David Crow, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep. And so welcome on Joe as well as Eileen and Mom as well. She's here. I know she's tired, but she still jumped on. So good to see you guys all with us. And I was going
to say, and you know me, I'm not one to stir the pot ever, right? But I just need to know: is Eileen wearing her Washington Commanders gear right now? Is she ready to watch the Washington Commanders?
She is pumped. She's got her Commanders. She's even got a headband on, the face paint,
of course.
Everything. Yeah, absolutely. It was kind of cool tonight to see a few people decked out. One of our bassist was wearing his Commanders jersey, and then a few friends of ours wearing their Bucs jerseys. So they knew they'd get home in time for this game. So
game's gonna be a great game.
Christopher Bennett, of course, is live at the game tonight. So I'm sure you're having a wonderful time, and we'll get into him here before we get started. And
Christopher Bennett is a bon vivant, isn't he? He's everywhere and doing everything.
Yeah, I believe he was also at the Penn State game a couple days ago as well. So
oh my stars.
is everywhere.
Yeah.
But
For him.
yes, and Eileen says, Darren, how could you?
How could I want?
So,
No, listen, I'm just going in what was reported.
Yep.
It came across the wire, and I found out that that's what they said. So maybe see false news. You were rooting for Tampa Bay like the rest of us should be, right? I mean, let's be honest, folks.
yes.
Go Bucs, go.
Go Bucks, and they are if all the 4 previous games have told us anything, every home team has won. I believe so. That's a good. We'll see if that continues. Before we even get into our sponsor and that read, I do want to shout out to you, the listeners. A week ago, we were at 1,500 and I believe it was 98 subscribers, and we are now sitting at 1,643 subscribers. So that is an increase of 45 subscribers in the last 6 days. So that is super awesome. So I just wanted to say thank you and our gratitude for each and every one of you. That goal of 1,750 by the end of March is looking very nice right now. And we don't take each individual sub lightly. So thank you guys so much.
No, it's amazing. And it makes my heart flutter. It seriously does. It's because you have a lot of choices, right? You choose us, and that's amazing.
Yes, thank you. It is amazing. And before we get started, Darren, of course, and we're going to tell you what we're going to be talking about tonight, Darren, can you share a word from our sponsor?
Our sponsor is, you ready? Are you ready? Let's talk taxes. Let's talk taxes. Attention, Palm Bay and everybody else. You have tax troubles? Nashville Tax Solutions has got you covered. Whether you're behind on returns or facing a lien or just need that expert advice, their team at Nashville Tax Solutions is there to help. Hear what some of the clients have said. Chris Bennett and his team has saved me from my financial nightmare. They're knowledgeable, they're clear, and they're compassionate. So you know what? There's so many things to worry about in this world. So don't let taxes be the thing that stresses you out. Reach out to Nashville Tax Solutions today. Call 615-502-2250. You can also visit NashvilleTaxSolutions.com or email info@NashvilleTaxSolutions.com. Because, as the kids say, Nashville Tax Solutions, where tax resolution is achieved. And I have to tell you, this is a wonderful individual who runs a wonderful company who's there to help you. Nashville Tax Solutions.
Yes, thank you for sharing. And I'm going to ask, so we're going to do a little thing before we get into it. So we're in a little bit of a class participation. So if everybody wouldn't mind at the same time, just go ahead and hit that smash that like button, just destroy that like button for us. It means a lot. It helps in the algorithm. And I'm assuming you've already subscribed. If you haven't, if you wouldn't mind just checking us out tonight. And if this is something you're interested in, hit subscribe. And if not, hit subscribe next time. But thank you so much. Tonight, we're not going to watch the entire game, but we're going to do a little bit of NFL playoff recap. We're also going to do a live watch along for at least the next 45 minutes of the Washington Commanders Tampa Bay Buccaneers game, which has not started, even though they said it would start at 8 o'clock. They lied.
Big lie.
Yep. It is 8:13 and somebody's singing. So that's okay.
Yes.
Okay. So 59 degrees. So it's a very chill game for Tampa. In this case. So are you watching the game right now yourself, or?
Absolutely. You know that. Sports is always on. It's always on. What we do. Yes, absolutely. Yep. So here's a question
in the chat. Go ahead and throw your prediction for tonight's game, and then we'll get to your question there in just a second. But go ahead. Who's winning tonight? Is it Washington or will it be Tampa Bay? Let us know in the chat. But go ahead, Darren.
I wanted to ask you one thing about college football first. We kind of brushed upon it last week, I think, or the week before. Is it an anomaly? Is it a flaw in the system? Which I'll tell you, I don't believe it's a flaw, but how does the top 4 teams that got buys in college football playoffs all lose?
I was, with everything going on this last 2 days, I wasn't aware of that. But they
lost the first round.
They all lost the first round. Wow.
Yep.
So are you saying that means that the only teams remaining are 5 seeds or higher?
Well, that's who was remaining, and now there's only 2 teams left, and that's Ohio State and Notre Dame. But the point was, by the second round, all the teams that earned buys were all eliminated the first game.
That's
one
insane.
through 4. Yeah.
I think we could replay that the next 15 years and that would not happen again. That's
how
very
I
unlikely.
feel. That's why it's an outlaw. It's a unicorn.
And now when is that national championship game?
January 20th.
January 20th. Okay. So I'm actually what I will do is maybe to get them on for a little bit. Two of our very faithful listeners, I'm not sure if they're watching tonight, but Heather and Mark Laraquente, two of our very best friends. One is an Ohio State fanatic. The other is a Notre Dame fanatic. So
I love that.
So that'll be exciting. So I'll be reaching out to them. If you're watching or if you're watching later on, please just send me a message. Love to have you on for a little bit and chat about that. But so looking forward to that on the 20th then. So I'll put that in my calendar. So I see a prediction there. Eileen mentions that the Bucs is going to be a tight game. Joe Alessandro believes it's going to be 27-20. And Joe and Eileen are not just my friends; they're our softball coach. So shout out to them. We also had softball practice today, and
nice.
Everything's hurting. It's been just a couple weeks since we played last, and everything is hurting. So sitting still hurts. Moving, as long as I keep on moving, I'm good to go. But once I sit still, everything starts.
Oh, I'm like instant nap.
Mm-hmm.
When if I play a sport or whatever, I need to rest.
Yeah.
So I'm out. Oh, I feel good. I'm out.
Yeah, no, because people ask me like, I've done tournaments where we played 6 games in a row or six games in 7 hours. And yes, it's tiresome on the body, but you don't really feel it until you actually have a bye or you sit down. Then your realization, like, what did I just do to myself? It kicks in. But during that, all the momentum, that's not the word I'm thinking of, but it kicks in and you don't really feel it until you sit still.
Well, didn't we learn? We learned that in 4th, 5th grade science, right? And the law of inertia: the body at rest stays at rest, the body in motion stays in motion. So if you're moving, the key is to keep on moving. Just keep on going.
Yep.
Keep on playing.
Just keep on going. And tonight at church service, we had an awesome prayer service doing the Daniel fast and sitting still. I was trying to get creative on how I can keep moving, but you can't really move around too much during a church service. But I was moving my toes a little bit and just, wiggling around just a little bit just to keep it moving.
So I enjoyed the Daniel fast when I did it. What do you like most about it, and what's the struggle for you?
The struggle is there's a lot of foods on I'll start with the positive. So the positive is there's what the Daniel Fest represents and what you're supposed to eat and not supposed to eat and whatnot. But there's a lot of flexibility there. Like they encourage you, like if 21 days is too long for you, maybe you can't do without for a certain period of time, modify the Daniel fast to fit your needs. So it could be you do it 2 days a week, you do it 3 days a week, maybe you do it once a week, one time only. So rather than give up all the items on the list for 21 days, maybe what works for you is a little bit different. So what the struggle is a lot of foods on the thou shall not eat list. And when that happens and you start to, of course you crave, like you always crave wings, you always crave burgers. Bottom line though, is once you eat something and you're full and it's okay. But when you have all the temptations, when you see everybody else eating around you, especially if the kids at home are having pizza and you're having like chickpeas soup for the 4th time in 5 days, it could be challenging.
Mike, can you hand me more of that kale?
Yes, you can take it all, please. So what I've decided to do for myself, I'm more into the word, I'm more into scripture, trying to not eat, doing like intermittent fasting between this hour and that hour, because for me, the challenge is eating late because of my schedule. I'm always wanting to eat a big meal late in the evening. So like today I had something for lunch, like 10 hours ago, I didn't have a dinner. I'm starving, but really don't want to eat. Eileen mentioned something here I want to share, which puts things in perspective. It says, Daniel refused to eat the king's food, which is unclean by Hebrew standards.
Mm-hmm.
So it's exciting that the church is doing it together as a whole, whether they're doing the full fast, whether they're doing something, but we come together every Sunday night during this 21 days and we pray, we are just with each other, and we're going, and it's exciting to be able to go through it with other people, and because there's other people having the same challenges that you are as well. But as we tonight, so we're going to be talking a little bit about the NFL playoffs this past weekend. I was able to see 2 of the 4 games, and now watching this game here, no score, Washington and Tampa Bay. So I wanted to start, Darren, with your thoughts on the Houston Texans game yesterday. I remember sitting here watching the game, and Eileen had asked me several times, can we put on Moana 2, please? Because it was very low scoring at the end of the first half. Nothing was going on. And we tried to watch Moana 2, but we realized it wasn't out yet on Disney+. So we continued to watch the game, and I'm glad we did, because business actually picked up right after that. And so I'm glad that we continue to watch, and it was very exciting. A lot of picks, a lot of interceptions. But Houston did what they needed to do. That was the team that I really thought would be the first team out of all the division winners, but they handled their business. We know what's up in front of them now next week, now that all the favorites won, the trip to Kansas City. But do you any thoughts on that game from what you saw? Or I know you might have been at work yesterday, but just from the recaps.
Well, yeah, no. And I did on my social media post this morning, talked about the Texas game with the Chargers. No disrespect to the Texans. They played well. But there's reality of life. And reality of life is that any team from LA, especially this week with the devastation of the wildfires, we can say, put it behind you, and they're paid professionals, and they get paid a lot of money. All true. But they're also human beings. We have people in our jobs, right, who, and I'm going to say maybe not my staff, because I got a wonderful staff, but they will be unfocused when something major happens, much less their whole house, their livelihood, their parents' house, their friend's house, burning to the ground. I am sure they were distracted because the Chargers looked like a team that was just happy to be there and just wanted to get the game over with. That's what I saw. And that might not happen with the Rams playing Monday in Arizona, because they saw how badly the Chargers did. But I think that was part of it. So I think that the Chiefs are going to be kind of licking their chops against the Texans. But not taking anything away from the Texans. They played a very good game.
Yeah, and you look at the Chiefs, and you're like, I even said on this podcast several times that I believe out of the 3 Chiefs teams is the least, not taking anything away from them, not saying they cannot win the Super Bowl. I feel out of the last 3 years, despite their record, this Chiefs team doesn't stack up as well as the last 2 Chiefs teams. But the reality is they got the bye, and they get to play Houston. So all there is, basically they beat Houston, and they're 1 win away already from the Super Bowl. So that's going to have an easier path. Just a live update here. Tampa Bay just kicked the field goal over Washington. So it is now 3-0 Tampa Bay. So
I also believe that if the Chiefs do beat the Texans, they will lose. They will get crushed. The Chiefs will get crushed by either the Bills or the Ravens. Both teams just better.
Yeah, both teams better. And I can say one of the things we talk about, especially in Major League Baseball, is it's one thing to be the team. Like it was the Dodgers got it done this year, but most of the time the team that's the hottest at the right time is the team. And to me, that team is the Baltimore Ravens. Bills haven't been as effective these last couple of weeks, but they can definitely still beat the Chiefs. So right now, you don't want to be playing the Baltimore Ravens on home, on the road, anywhere else in between. So you're right. I think that's going to be a tremendous game regardless, for sure. And, like you said, the games are played for a reason. We'll find out what happens next week in Kansas City. So today I did not get an opportunity to see the Philadelphia Eagles play against Green Bay Packers. I believe it was 22-10 just a little bit ago. I'm not sure if that wound up being the final. So really no surprise there.
Nope.
Green Bay had a great year. Any thoughts on that? Because I didn't get to see anything from that game.
I think you saw it, metaphorically, you saw everything you needed to see. It went exactly as we all thought it would. Green Bay had a nice year. They came in. They didn't get blown out. But Eagles are just a better team. And that's what you saw. I mean, so that's what I mean. You knew what was going in. That's what was going to happen.
Yeah, it's just a tough first round draw for
Yep.
Green Bay. And I believe no one wants to go home after 1 week, but I think they exceeded expectations and got to where they did and had the experience. And that's only going to do wonders for their quarterback and team moving forward. So, and yes, Joe mentioned the Eagles defense did the job. And so there we are now. So going into, and it was interesting because the first 3 games of the NFL calendar this year of the playoffs were all AFC games. So that is the first final of the NFC playoff picture. So until tomorrow night is over, we won't know what the NFC playoff picture is like. But Darren, we mentioned the AFC playoff picture has been determined. And last night, the Pittsburgh Steelers fell to the Baltimore Ravens. Again, no surprise there. Pittsburgh has kind of been out of it for the last month or so. I'm not sure what happened.
Just
5 weeks ago, everything changed. And they had like a good 6-minute stretch last night. They scored 14 points, but that was literally it. Any quick thoughts on that game last night?
Well, I'm going to deflect back to you for a second and actually tell you how I feel. I'm a big believer. Same thing in baseball and any sport. When you score and the other team gets the ball, you have to keep them off the scoring themselves. And Pittsburgh wasn't able to do that. Pittsburgh was lethargic in the first half. My question is, do you think they changed coaches? Do you think they asked Tomlin to, step down? I don't. I think that would be a harsh decision, but that's what people are talking about right now.
Yeah, I can see where it's an easy decision, and I mean, maybe that'll be I just feel like that. I don't know. I feel like he continues to bring it. I feel like he is the right fit there.
I agree.
It's need to have that Monday morning quarterback in the moment, but I believe he needs to stay. Now, I'm not sure what's left in the current deal, contract or whatnot, but I think he is the right fit. I think, we didn't see much from Russell Wilson last year. And so, just consistency is key. I think it's a player issue, not a coach issue. It's not always going to be a
totally
coach
agree.
Issue. Easy to always assume it's a coach issue, but it's not in my opinion.
He still got them to the playoffs, and they haven't advanced in 4 years, 5 years, whatever the case may be. But they're still in the playoffs, which is not an easy thing to do. I make fun. I say anybody can get in, but it's not true, right? Because the Jets haven't been in the playoffs since the early 60s. But
Yep. But there was a moment I was in the lobby tonight of church before church service started, and a good friend of mine who was on the podcast, Kevin Smith, was there, and we hugged, and we just had this moment where, like, here we are again. He's a Browns fan, I'm a Panthers fan. We're out of it a month into the season, but we just embraced because we're enjoying football for what it is.
Right.
It'd be nice to be able to see a game in January that's meaningful, but I am very pleased with the last 5 weeks of Carolina's season, 6 weeks.
You should be.
So I'm excited, looking for that. So interesting here. We were just talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Michael Clark, who's joining us, thank you for being here, mentioned he believes that Russell Wilson is done. Fields will be the starter. Thoughts on that? Do you agree, disagree?
I think they get Wilson there for a reason. I think Wilson will eventually be the starter. I think
or you mean Fields, right? Would be
Fields rather, not Wilson. Yeah. Fields. I think Wilson will be I was actually getting ahead of my skis. I think Wilson will be a starter somewhere else. He'll fight for the position. He'll lose. He'll be the backup. And I see him going to a team like the Jets, who are going to need a stopgap quarterback because I don't think Aaron Rodgers comes back there. And they're going to need either 1 or 2 year stopgap. And Wilson right now, you can get dirt cheap. And he is okay. But he's going to do that. He's going to go to a team like the Jets for a year or so, like the Raiders, who really have no quarterback.
Yeah, no, they really don't. Now, I do have to, I apologize, Eileen. I'm watching the play, and how good is Daniels for Washington. Watching last night, watching Lamar Jackson play, I'm like, wow, like this kid's in his rookie year and is already showing what he can do. But So so it opens up that offense when you have a quarterback that scrambles like that. And so she mentioned it was an awesome play, not in her favor, not in Tampa Bay's favor, but just watching that and how he was able to come down with that catch. And Washington has really surprised a lot of people this year. Did not see a 12-win season on the horizon for sure. So,
well, you got to give him credit. He's a very good quarterback, and that's a franchise on the come. That's a franchise that is doing well. I think the guile that Baker Mayfield has will be the difference. But this is the top-notch quarterback. This is, when I say top-notch, not top 5 in the league, but it's top 10, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And just another, it looks like fourth down. So they didn't get the first down, but they are in field goal range. So looking like we're going to get tied up here. But Levante David, they just showed him on the screen. I feel like he's been around forever with Tampa Bay. He's constantly making big plays. And Daniels was 2 yards away from the first down, and he got him out of bounds. So great play there. They are going. So, wow. So Commanders are going for it on fourth down. I just showed their 87% completion on fourth down. That is amazing. Yep. So let's see here. 4th and 2. Let's see what's going to. Let's see. And the TV glitched, but the ball is bouncing on the floor, so it's okay. That's the glitch. So, and instead of getting those guaranteed 3 points, Tampa Bay is now in possession of the ball. Wow, big decision.
Yep,
big decision. So, and I see you guys, a few in the chat. The Jets 5-12 with Wilson. Mike agrees. Darren 3-15 without him. So,
I don't want him.
Yeah. Yep. But wow, what a decision!
I take points. I give me the points. If you're not behind, give me the points early. Why are you putting yourself from behind?
Right, and I could see if it was like a borderline 51-yard field goal or something like that, where it's like the field position's not ideal, but it's not going to get you. If it's only 10 yards from what a touchback would be. But in that case, they were within the 20-yard line. That should have been a field goal. So I think you're trying to. You're on the road. Maybe it seems like that's a on the road decision where you're trying to get the crowd out of it early. But so not a big fan of that one. So yes, Michael, I believe Jets need a young running quarterback. It'd be nice. You never want to have your team have to have a placeholder as your quarterback because it's just like, okay, putting our hands up now. We're just, keeping the seat warm. You don't want that. So, but I also, now that it's a commercial, it's a great opportunity. I want to talk about the Denver Broncos Buffalo Bills game. Obviously, we mentioned earlier that Buffalo got the win there. Again, I was at church service today, so I didn't get to see the full game. But was that a dominating performance by Buffalo? Was Denver in it at any point of that game?
Denver was leading at one point. It was tight early, and then the Buffalo Bills were like, you know what? Let's just end this. And they just rolled. Halftime adjustments, and they just own the second half.
That's awesome. And real quick, I want to welcome Heather Laraquente onto the show. And Heather, if you're listening, or if you're still there, hopefully you are, because you just said hi. So silly question. But Darren and I were talking now that Ohio State will be playing Notre Dame in the National Championship on January 20th. I would love to have both you and Mark on for a few minutes, perhaps next Sunday before our other guest comes on. Perhaps. But if you could jump on, and I know you guys house divided there with Notre Dame and Ohio State. So I think that would be a lot of fun to have that conversation. So Heather, if you're here and can throw it in the chat, if that's something you're available to do, that would be super cool. Joe mentioned, where is Mark Sanchez when you need him? He's just one phone call away.
It's interesting.
That other quarterback, Jeff Garcia, where you felt like you could just call him up at any time and he would just come play for you.
People make fun, right? And I lead this parade, but Mark Sanchez brought the Jets 2 straight years to the AFC Championship game. I mean, at least one year, and then I think the second round. I mean, he was a good quarterback who had an unbelievably infamous blunder and mentally never recovered from it. Never recovered from the butt fumble.
Yep. Nope. And we also want to welcome Edwin Bonilla is here. He is not only a Tampa Bay fan, not only a teammate now on the house softball team, but glad to see you here watching the game along with us. We mentioned earlier we're not going to be here for the entire game. We're just here for an hour or so. But your thoughts, Edwin, just in the chat about we were just talking about.
That was a tough run, Edwin. That was a good run for first down.
That was a really good run. Yep.
So
1,122 most in NFL among rookies for Bucky Irving. Incredible.
So I'll put this out to our viewers, our listeners. I spoke about this the other day with the Texas-Ohio State game. Texas has the ball, first and goal on the 1 to get a tie. And what do? They pitch the ball out. As I played college football. I coach college football. I coach offensive line. And when I see a frightened soul pitch the ball on first and goal, and especially Ohio State's defensive scheme, they were stunting, they were slanting. It just shows me that you are a frightened soul and you're afraid to go one-on-one like that run that we just saw. Go straight ahead.
Right?
Earn it.
That is so good. That is so good. And thank you again, those of you that just jumped on. We are up to double-digit listeners, so thank each and every one of you. Go ahead and smash that like button between downs. It's an awesome way to keep yourself entertained between downs. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, share with your friends. We are just 7 subs away from 1,650, so that is super exciting. Again, thank each and every one of you. And yes, Edwin, moving the ball, love it. You got to establish the run early, especially in this game. And so, we'll hopefully see a lot more of that 2nd and 10 now. Bucs are driving, so we shall see. But it's just how good, and I know we mentioned this on the show, but how good is Baker Mayfield? How exciting of a player to have on your roster for the foreseeable future. So good. So now it's going to be like 3rd and long here in this play. But I do want to mention too, Darren, while we're here, if you wouldn't mind just sharing those that jumped on late, we are having a very special guest next Sunday evening with us here live at 8:00. If you wouldn't mind just sharing a little bit about him.
So, and I put a contest out there on social media that I'll want to talk about as well for us. And so next week, for those of you who are into crime drama or crime podcasts, this is a true story called The Pale-Faced Lie. The Pale-Faced Lie by David Crow. David Crow is a friend. We became friends only after I had him on our podcast a couple of times. We talked about it. So David Crow, I'm going to read it. David Crow spent his early years on the Navajo Indian Reservation in Arizona and New Mexico. Through grit, resilience, and a thirst for learning, he managed to escape his abusive childhood, graduate from college, and to build a successful lobbying firm in Washington, D.C. So here's what happened. I'm not giving it away. I want you to read the book, but it happened. It's out there. This book, what award did it win? Hold on. Let me get this award. Winner of the Spur Award for Best Western First Nonfiction Book. Finalist for the Spur Award for Best Western Contemporary Nonfiction Book. Silver Award winner for Best Memoir. This book is amazing. So he grew up thinking he was a Native American who knew he wasn't Navajo. He was from another tribe in the Carolinas, but his father for work relocated in the Navajo reservation. And he was picked on brutally. He was picked on brutally by other kids on the reservation who said that he was a faker. And he believed his dad. Turns out they were right. His dad committed a murder and was hiding on the Navajo reservation.
So many things to unpack there. Mm-hmm. And, hey, you have a week now. Those of you listening, you have a week. You can check out the audio book. Amazon, you can get it in 2 days. So,
well, that's the contest, Mike. For our people who watch and listen, they have to be a subscriber. They have to send you a request that they want the audiobook. I will send them a free audiobook of The Pale-Faced Lie.
Okay. Well, you guys heard that. So, and it's commercial. So hopefully you're listening to that part. But so, yes. So if you would like to have the audio copy of that book for the guest that we're going to have on a week from tonight, 8:00 on the 19th, go ahead and send me a request and we will get that to you. So thank you, Darren, for that.
And that's only it's only for this podcast or for tomorrow night's podcast that Mike does for wrestling. So, so Tuesday morning, Mike, you tell me who won, and we will get their email address, and we will send them the audiobook for the Pale Faced Lie.
Okay, awesome. We'll do that. And thank you for mentioning that. And just a shout out for that as well. I love what we do here on Sunday nights. The views are continuously increasing, but it's not about the views. It's about time with my brother. It's about time with you, and I appreciate it. And Darren did mention we did have our very first episode of the Monday Night Raw watch along on Netflix. They were averaging 1.4 million viewers per week on the USA Network, and they garnered 4.94 million viewers for their debut episode on Netflix. That is huge.
There you go.
And just showed here, we had just 3 views shy of 400 views for that podcast. So that is awesome. So because of that, we will be live once again tomorrow night. And this week, our guest host will be Brian Anderson. You all know him. He's been on here before. So Tevin will be back with us the 1st of February. But for the second Mondays of the month, that is Brian Anderson. So we will have some fun tomorrow night. So we're going to talk. There's a big Intercontinental Championship match. There's a big street fight with Finn Balor and Damian Priest. So you guys want to make sure you're here. Even if you're not, you'll want to be here 8:00 tomorrow night live on this channel. So Washington now has the ball. Unfortunately, Tampa Bay had to punt it here in the last few minutes. So there is just over 3 minutes left on the clock. Washington now deep in their own territory has got their work cut out for them. So I expect them to run the ball here on 2nd and 8, but we shall see.
So I got a question for you about last Monday night's presentation. I keep wanting to say podcast, but we're not doing podcasting right now. It's live. So, the view party, what surprised you most and what did you learn from that first? Because it's not easy because you have to entertain your guests, entertain your listeners, your viewers, and watch the game. So,
yeah,
and you did a wonderful job. So, but talk to me about it.
So what I learned most was, I was able to be informative, and I was able to provide the listener with maybe they just jumped on. This is what they missed, that sort of stuff. But when you're watching and trying to keep a podcast or a live stream going for that long, it's hard to show your initial reactions or show animation because you're just kind of watching along. So you don't want to have dead air, but at the same time, it wouldn't be a watch along if you're not watching along. So I think maybe the nerves a little bit as the first one, but as time goes, I anticipate more reactions, good or bad, that I'll be a little bit more animated with that as we go. It was interesting about that first podcast was that it was really for the casual fan, the fan that they don't have yet. And they accomplished that. A lot of people were there. A lot of people's eyes are now on the product that weren't. And so a lot of people were upset they didn't advance storylines very much, but that was purposely done because they wanted The Rock in front of your eyes. They wanted John Cena. They wanted and big gain here for Washington. So McLaurin there. So sorry, Tampa fans, but hopefully they can still stop them. But yeah, so that was the big difference with that debut episode was that they were really trying to find that new audience. And starting, I believe, tomorrow night, we'll start seeing the progression of the storyline as we head to the Royal Rumble. And, of course, towards WrestleMania in April in Las Vegas. So.
I tell you, as somebody who has been doing this now for a while and somebody who I've been blessed to be able to create and put out there 2 documentaries, I think they made a wonderful move by not advancing the storylines because they had a lot of new eyeballs who, if they would have been advancing the storyline that first week, what's going on? I'm lost. Was here, get to know what's going on. They know The Rock. I think that was wonderful.
Yeah, because what I attested it to, and you could attest as a movie fan yourself, as let's just say the height, and I believe Marvel's kind of gone down a little bit from where it was, and I believe it'll get back where it had been. But imagine basically if next week's show would have just been the next movie in the Marvel franchise.
Right.
Can you imagine people trying to like understand what is going on? So you can't do that presentation when your target is a brand new audience, because they're gonna be like, well, it's not possible to go back and watch 2,950 episodes. I mean, I guess you could, but that's an insane amount of time times 3
And you
hours.
have no friends. That means you literally have no friends.
Right. So, they had to present it that way, where it was a brand new thing. And now that they got you in, you know who the characters are, then they can start introducing you to the subcast and all that. So, but yeah, definitely join with us tomorrow night. Even if the wrestling's not your thing, it's going to be a lot of fun. Brian's a great friend of mine, and we always have a good time. And like I said, there's some big matches on the show, so looking forward to that. So, but we are on commercial now, and so go ahead.
I want to mention this game real quick. And as an offensive line coach, and I played offensive line, I love seeing what I'm seeing. Unfortunately, for those of us who are rooting for the Bucs from the Washington team right now, they're throwing a lot of screens and a lot of passes to the flats, and their wide receivers, their tight ends are blocking. And again, they don't need to look like these dominating blocks. They literally just have to get in the way. And the run and the receivers are just finding the holes, and they're just running through the holes. And that's what's important when you are playing that perimeter game. Now, what Tampa needs to do is cheat. You step up, you do what's called a cover two, and a cover two means you have two safeties back there. Cheat up, have one of them cheat up a little bit and try to jump the route. If they're going to continue to do that, you have to jump the route and take a bit of a gamble, knock it down, try to get an interception. Let's see what happens. But that's what's going on right now.
That's the Darren Redmond's key to victory.
Yes.
Yes. But no, it's good. It's good. And with those of you that have just joined us in the chat as well, go ahead and just give us your prediction. I do see so far a lot of people are in agreement. They are picking Tampa tonight, but go ahead and throw in the chat what you believe is the outcome of tonight's game, as well as the big game tomorrow night in Arizona at State Farm Stadium, which is another side topic. Hilarious. That the fact that that's the stadium that they're playing in, considering everything. But the Rams do play tomorrow night. So check that game out as well. Is that on ESPN, I believe? Or
yes.
Okay, it is. So I know, speak back to WWE, I know they're excited that after tomorrow night, they'll have Monday nights back to themselves, because that 4.9 rating, that's not all that's a ton of countries that are not yet on the Netflix for Raw. That's because there's Monday Night Football still going on. So I truly believe after that next Monday night's game, and I'm not sure, that those ratings will only increase from there for sure.
We just saw that rollout pass, right? So that was a rollout. Again, what did you say? You saw good blocking by the wide receiver in helping the runner get the first down. Let's see what he's probably going to go the other way now. Let's see. No, same way.
Yep.
Same
and
way.
They're at the 35-yard line, 33-yard line. So.
And by the way, another thing too, I'm sorry to get all boring, but people say clock management and they think the fourth quarter. You have a philosophy from the start of the game about the clock. And right now you can tell what Washington is trying to do is eat clock. They don't want Baker to have that ball. They want to minimize the time he has that ball. So right now, if you notice, they're in no rush.
Right, they're in no rush. The score being 3-0 means nothing to them.
Correct.
And a lot of people, they ask, they put the game on in third quarter, fourth quarter, and they see that the hurry up offense, and they're just throwing the ball completion. They're like, well, if that worked now, why didn't we do that the entire game? And that's just something, the no huddle offense. And I still might sometimes ask myself that question. Well, why don't they just do that? Obviously, that's going to wear out the offense and the defense and whatnot. But it can be a little frustrating when you see a 6-3 game going in the fourth quarter, and then it opens up, and you're like, where was this the whole time? I think it says exactly they're scared of Baker. Don't want Baker on the field. So, but
it's very.
So, and this
So
is
I gotta
interesting.
ask you a baseball question.
Shaquille Barrett signed with Tampa Bay prior to Week 17 after being waived by the Dolphins. So, That's pretty cool. You get to be.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Now, I believe I saw something with. Wow, that was a hit. Oh my lord. Oh, and he's up. Okay, that looked pretty brutal.
Yep.
Teddy Bridgewater, I believe, signed with the team just for the playoffs. Like I did.
Yes, he did.
Honestly, didn't know that was okay to do, but props to him for.
It was during the regular season, technically.
Technically,
so
yeah.
able to do it.
Yeah.
Which
And
was a
so-
great was a
Oof,
great pickup.
oof. Look at him fly through the air. Now, when you got like in that moment, to us on TV, it's like a half a second, but to him, it looked like as he was hitting the ground,
Mhm.
like it was probably a very long moment in time for him. That looked pretty brutal, but I'm glad he's okay.
Yeah, I'm glad he's okay.
Yeah.
So I got a baseball question. You ready?
Okay.
Pete Alonso, what's going on?
I mean,
Exactly.
like the one thing I want him to, okay, let me say this. I want him to be a New York Met. But if he gets his first at bat in week 3 of spring training, I don't want him to be a New York Met, if that makes sense. Because, and I understand it would be a longer contract and whatever, but that never, ever, 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 never, ever works out where you get into spring training late and you start off the season hot. And he already had a bit of a down year considering the last few years. So we don't need that. So just get it done. It's tiresome. It's like reading social media on Pete Alonso right now is like hearing about the NFL draft in April. Like enough. Like I'm tired of 6,300 mock drafts 5 months before the NFL draft even takes place. So until I see him sign with the roster, I don't believe these are the teams in contention. I don't believe any of it anymore. Just send me an alert to my phone.
Inquiring minds want to know, does Mike Redmond feel comfortable with giving him a escape clause after 1 year?
No.
I don't feel comfortable with that either. No.
It seems like a Mets headline in the New York Post just waiting to happen. So no, I would not be. I really, one thing that is bothering me from social media posts and stuff is there's still a lot of negativity on Mark Vientos, and another good run here from Daniels, another 7-yard run. So they are definitely driving. But it was like with Mark Vientos, like people forget like what he did just shy of 30 home runs. He didn't play until towards the end of May. And, he didn't make as many errors as they make it out that he made. And so I want this kid to have a chance. And, I don't want him moved to the DH spot or any kind of platoon situation. Like he earned his stripes enough already. Like I've seen a lot less statistical things happen and people given longer careers. Like let's let this kid continue to develop. I'm not sure if Ronnie Mauricio is going to be a call up later this season or not, but I do want to see Mark Vientos in the middle of that Mets lineup.
So can I make Met fans angry?
Yes. Well, yeah.
Okay. And again, people, you can talk about the team you like, because I'm a big believer that when you retire a number, it has to mean something. You don't just willy-nilly give out, retiring numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that David Wright wasn't a wonderful player, but how do you make Keith Hernandez, for example, wait forever, and these other people wait forever, and you're giving it to David Wright? It's like they're trying to catch up, make up. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think it's a gesture. They're doing a nice gesture, but what they're actually doing doesn't need to. You can get him a nice bobblehead. You can have him come out and wave his hands. I love David Wright, but it wasn't enough to warrant that, at least this soon, especially.
Oh, I think you're 100% right. I'm happy to hear that. Because, you got people that Cleon Jones, Tommy Agee, you got some of these people that won you a championship, legendary, and
Yep, 3rd and 3 here, and his face just got busted wide open.
Yep.
I don't know what happened, but let's see what happens. Big play here. Let's see.
Hey, Joe, you're right. David Wright Knight, or even put him in the Met Hall of Fame. Like a little, like you said, little bobblehead, a little clap. Let's go. But
yes,
but I just Tom Seaver, Jerry Kuzman, Keith Hernandez, Mike Piazza. After that, and I understand the Willie Mays thing because he's a legend. It's sort of like a separate thing. But
yeah.
But now you're putting in Shecky. I mean, you're putting in people that are good, but like,
And years, I mean, because if you do look at it, years, like I understand it's not his fault. He had the back injuries and whatever, but his length of career wasn't as long as we think it was.
Right.
And I think you do need to be a lifer before we start having that kind of consideration for jersey retirement. 2nd and goal here at the 11 for Washington.
Yep. And
so.
And by the way, I feel the same way about Darryl Strawberry. I mean, and I feel the same way about Dwight Gooden. I mean, you should not get your number retired for potential.
Yeah, for potential. Yeah, you actually have to come through. And that was kind of nice 3-on-1 there. They didn't throw him down to the ground, but held him long enough to warrant the end of the play. Because Eileen can vouch for that. We were watching the Tampa Bay Saints game, and just the amount of times where the Saints would try to tackle a Bucs player and okay, the progression is stopped, and then they just threw him on the ground.
They're a trash team.
Yeah,
I mean that's
we love our Saints listeners, but trash team.
Oh yeah, no, they would admit it. You don't do that touchdown. You don't do that, and because you're talking about people's careers, you don't do that. That's not being tough. That's being trashy. We love our Saint listeners, like you said, and I love the Saints. I'm a big Derek Carr guy, but.
Yeah, I do got to ask real quick.
We got a flag,
touchdown, but they hadn't thrown the ball yet, so I'm not sure if I'm a little behind or if you were
maybe delay. Yeah, you're probably a little bit.
Okay, I didn't know if you were calling that into existence, but either way, they took the points off the board as a flag on the play.
Yep.
So I might need to refresh my screen because I don't want to be delayed here. That would be.
Yeah.
I'll never forget the Yankees Diamondbacks World Series. I was on the phone with a friend and completely got it ruined.
Oh no.
Let's see here. I'm refreshing.
Nope. I'm going to be quiet.
Roughing the passer, so it touchdown stands.
You can't go at his knees.
Yeah. Oh. Now look at that though. 17 plays, 92 yards, time of possession 9 minutes and 8 seconds. That is a long drive if I've ever seen one.
Yes, it is.
6-3, about to be 7-3. Still very, very early, but
yes.
You never want to give up a 92-yard drive. Regardless, they're only down whatever points, but that's rough. But they got to just right now stick to what they're doing. Still run the ball. Don't try to throw a 45-yard pass on the first down.
Absolutely right. I mean, you're not going to shut out the other team most likely.
No.
Here's the one positive about allowing 93-yard drive. You saw what they do. Now, shame on you if you let them do it again. If you allow them redundancies. But right now, you should be able to augment what you're doing.
Make the adjustments.
Make those adjustments. Yep. But remember, we talked about this. Football is chess. Football is it's war. It's chess. You see what a person's patterns of behavior are, and you react accordingly.
Now, let me ask you this. This may seem like an oddball question, but that's okay because I don't like asking the same boring old questions that every other.
That's why you're very good at this.
Yes. What's your favorite color? No. So what I want to
Plaid.
ask is so you go to the like as a coach when you go to locker room for a halftime adjustment. Like I feel like there's not like. I feel like every halftime speech has already happened. Like there's not much more you can say outside of like, we can do this. We can turn this around. I'm not sure what's going on out there. But like, do you think, and it may be silly, but do you feel like the coach is ever like, man, I don't know what the heck I'm going to say in there.
Oh, yeah.
Like I want to say something that they haven't heard 100 times before. And I want it to be impactful. Because there's got to be a time where the coach has said something and he's like, yeah, and the team is just like golf clapping.
Yeah. Those type of speeches are wonderful before a game. A halftime adjustment is no time. If somebody's giving you that during a halftime, they're either panicking or they're filming a movie. Because what you do, you might have an inspiring statement. Like Notre Dame the other night, he said something about, the victors are the ones who write the story, and you're holding a pen. I mean, you can say things like that, but here's what happens. And if you played competitive sports, most people know this. You have already your assistant coaches go into the locker room, and your offensive line goes here, the defensive line goes here, the specialty teams go here, your special players go here, and you actually break up into subcommittees. And you don't eat oranges, by the way. You do not eat oranges. It's actually very bad for you, by the way. That's a separate non sequitur. But what you do is you go and you have skull sessions about, hey, Redmond, you're getting beat in the inside. Here's what he's doing. His loop, that kind of thing. Now, at the very end, you come together, and the head coach may say something like, we're going to onside kick, which you could still do in college and NFL. You can't do it until the fourth quarter, being trailing. They may say things like that, or, hey, shabby tackling right here. I'm telling you guys, I'm looking at the film. You guys are not tackling, or you're not holding your blocks. They may say things like that and kind of inspire you through that. But there's not here's what's going on. I remember my day. No, you do that.
You lose them.
You lose them.
Yep. Baker Mayfield, 69 passing touchdowns, most in the NFL since 2023.
Yeah, he's a great quarterback. I'd take him any day.
26 interceptions, most in NFL. You didn't look happy with that one. So let's see here again. Not a lot of yards for Tampa Bay, but
and you don't need to get all the back in 1 second. Just have a nice drive.
Yeah. Yep.
No.
And
no pass.
Again, it's not always a bad thing when you don't have a lot of offense, because if the other team's on the field for 9.5 minutes, it's not much you can do.
No.
But sometimes they're like in a 9 minutes, that's 3 different possessions, let alone one.
I want to see some play action passes. I'd like to see a play action pass right now. What I would do is a play action and hit the tight end or somebody on a slant route between the outside and inside linebacker if they're sitting in a 4-4. Like, right. That's a little farther than I wanted, but okay. You got to catch that. If the old rules. If it's in your hand.
Flag on somebody.
If it's in your hands, you got to catch the ball. You're a pro. If you can touch it, you got to catch it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what this penalty is going to be, but let's find out.
Personal foul. Went below the knee. Same. Oof.
15-yard penalty, chop block.
Chop block. Let me tell you something.
And high five and his teammate. That's exciting.
Okay, let me tell you about the chop block. The chop block when I played was legal. It's not legal anymore. And I got to tell you, we chop blocked every play. So shame on us. No.
And should it? I feel like that's the one penalty should not be 15 yards. But
I agree. Yeah. I think that should be a 5 or a 10. Maybe.
What do you do here on 2nd and 24? Do you just try
12,
to basically?
You get 12
is it
yards.
About field position at 2nd and 24?
Yeah, you get 12 yards. Get 12 yards, so you make it a manageable 3rd down. There you go.
Another flag down.
Now look at the difference, Mike, on that play. Where were the blocking outside receivers? He had none. He's by himself. There was no receivers around him. So you need to have that controlled environment where you have hats on hats. Holding. They're going way back.
All right. So they're going to decline the penalty. So 3rd and 20. So here it's probably about field position at this point.
Yep.
And Eileen is not happy about that. That does not make Miss Eileen very happy.
Nope. But remember, it's a long game. Nobody gets flowers for winning in the 2nd inning. Nobody gets flowers for winning at halftime.
Was that the same? No, okay. So at 3rd and 22,
I would drop it to about the 30-yard line and let him run it for the first if you can get it.
Oh, my goodness.
All right.
Yep. So now
just punt it, and you need a nice defensive turnover, or just get the ball back.
get the ball back before the half, or before the half.
Yeah, you'll get it back at least one time. So
yeah, get the crowd back into the game just by having a.
Here we go. This is what you're talking about.
Yep.
Shenanigans. Swimming trash team.
Yep.
Look at big.
I love how he just walked away.
Yeah, like a smart person.
Like,
you're a multi-million-dollar franchise quarterback. You got no.
I gotta right.
You can't be fighting with the backbenchers.
Yes. This I know this is separate, but this play here just triggered my memory about the. I believe it was the Houston game yesterday. I could be wrong, but where the kicker decided that I guess he forgot the rule. Remember that where he instead of trying to catch the ball, he just batted it down and then it became a live ball. Was that the Houston game? Or
I don't know. I saw I saw people talking about it, but I did not see.
You never
I was at work. I was at work.
You never want to be that guy in the NFL going back to the sideline being told what the actual rule is.
No.
That was
listen. There's two things as a player that you cannot blame your coach, you cannot blame the crowd, you cannot blame it. Well, actually, get there on time, hustle, and you have to know the rules. You have to know the rules.
Yes, you have to. And Eileen mentions now you have to tell them why that doesn't make Miss Eileen happy. That's something the short version is something we say a lot, especially, Eileen, as you know, is a not just does work with toddlers throughout the week and stuff and is as a teacher, but also on our Sunday school and kids ministry, when a child does something that is not Christ-like behavior or not something that we would expect of them, and when they're doing something wrong that they know better on, we always say that doesn't make Miss Eileen, or she always says that doesn't make Miss Eileen very happy. I love that. So
that's great.
Yep. So I am completely innocent of that. I have always made Eileen happy of every decision I've ever made in my entire life. So
that's cool sarcasm, people.
Yes. At least I have since 8:45.
Right.
So we will continue to go live until, if that's cool with you, until halftime here, or unless
I'm good. I'm good with that.
Okay. Sounds good. And do have son working tonight, but he's got about another hour of a shift. But yeah, no, that's all I got to do right now is get the crowd back into the game, send them happy. I should know better because I was literally watching it, but does Tampa Bay get the ball at halftime, or?
I was doing a live broadcast out of
right. I'm watching the problem was the TV is not big enough. None of the 70 inches. I just still couldn't make it out.
Yes.
Yes.
So a serious question, because I'm not just blowing smoke when I tell you this. You are now in the industry. You can call it sports industry, sports talk industry. I think what you do here and with wrestling and other things besides what you do for a living, what you do right now is I think you are in media. Now, when you're watching other shows, even on ESPN or some of these people that supposedly set the standard, do you watch it more with a critical flair kind of viewpoint about what's going on, how they do it?
That's a good question. I think.
Thank you.
Yes. And I think that deserves an answer. So the game, no. To answer that question, his face is, but okay, they're still working on his face. I heard Eileen across the house not happy about something, so she might also be ahead of my TV. So we shall see. Because I'm still seeing 2nd and 3, so
that's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm saying.
So did they? Okay, that was nothing. Okay, so here we go. Exactly what they needed. Well, it's 3rd down. They still have a chance, but this is the kind of first 2 downs that they needed. But yeah, I do get critical. A lot of times I'm critical because I'm like, oh my, like that's the question. Like you got your moment and that's the question.
Right.
You blew it. You like that. And now I can say that if given the opportunity, if I'm allowed to ask one question in a certain setting, I'm not going to ask the status quo. I would hope that I would not, but so I get that. But and I'm not saying you got to go in there and push the buttons, but at least come up with something creative outside the box, please. Like, and I do like, I'm not a big Colin Cowherd guy, but I do like when the person that you're listening to is pushing the envelope a little bit, even if it's a little bit over the top, and it's over the top. Right. That's a better discussion, and just whether you agree or not agree, it's just more interesting. And most of the times, those people that go over the top will be the first to admit, I'm a little bit over the top in what I'm saying right now. So, and I can appreciate that rather than just the mundane, just asking the same old, what were you thinking when you went up and hit that home run? Like, there's nothing more annoying than that.
I remember, when I first started doing this, and now we're doing it together, I will always remember Jim Burt was a star with the New York Giants. And then he went to the 49ers. And they asked him, what questions did he hate from a reporter? And this is way before podcasting and some of the others. He said, when it wasn't a question, he would have somebody say, Joe Montana.
That's it.
Yeah.
A fine young lad.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you wait all this time, I'm literally trying to undress, get ready, and you just give me a rogue name. I'm like,
yep. Because odds are that person is in there where they're waiting their turn. They know they're gonna they're gonna be able to say something. And now I can understand, and I would appreciate the honesty. Like, I would love to see someone ask a ridiculously stupid question but is honest and says, I had a good question, but this guy already answered it, so I'm drawing a blank. So I'm just going to ask something ridiculous. I could appreciate that. Be honest when that happens.
Yeah, and I could, and I think most people will understand that. You be honest about it, and you have a good laugh, and you move on because they respect your honesty.
We do in the football world. We do that in fantasy sports, right? Like, if you've got your mind up, this is the guy I'm going to draft, and you're up next, and the dude in front of you or the woman in front of you takes that person. You're just like, I don't want to spend 15 minutes digging through these sheets again. So I'm just going to take some money. You say, you took my guy. You took my question,
Right.
So.
And by the way, if somebody asks the same question that you were going to ask, in a lot of ways, tip the hat. They did the research. If you feel that you had a good question and somebody else asked it, that's a good question. So one thing I want to tell you, before the half, and no names, when we were trying, I was working to try to mitigate the damage I did to our program by not understanding what next Sunday means. So we had two people who committed to coming on our show, but until they're booked, I'm not going to mention who they are. One played in the NHL, so it's going to be really fun.
Okay.
And we're really going to be able to talk about arenas and all that other good stuff and food, and you'd be surprised at some of the fun answers because it's right in our wheelhouse, right? Like, what do you watch on? What do you watch? Like, you're in the hotel. And you'd be surprised because I've heard him like game shows, like Friends.
Yeah. No, not just any hotel, like not the Ritz-Carlton. I'm talking about the hotel that has 47 channels and 20 of them are the exact same station.
100%.
Hotels where it's nothing's different, and it's just like, so you settle on something stupid.
And the other person is actually the daughter of a Hall of Fame baseball player.
Oh, okay.
Who your father knew very, very well. That's all I'll say.
Okay. I will keep my guess to myself until the time is right, and I'll let you know if I was right or wrong.
Yep. They said they couldn't do it tonight, but they would love to do it.
Well, that is okay, and we have plenty of opportunities. And again, this is just one more shout out. This is episode 60. How cool is that? 60 episodes in. Amazing. So, and it's not even been a full year yet. Still just 10 months. So that was super awesome.
So we're going past your original thoughts, right? You always want to think positive things into reality and put the work in, but we are moving rapidly.
We are, yeah. There's speaking of moving rapidly, that defense was coming at them, and They've been all over him, and this is exactly what the stop that they needed. Right now, before the 2-minute warning, I believe, is it 3rd and 6 or is it 4th and 6?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. They haven't. Sometimes they just haven't changed it yet.
So here's an interesting thing. A lot of people think that you do not blitz when you have a running quarterback. The truth is you have to blitz. You have to blitz.
You have to
make a move. You need to stay in containment and control. But if you just let the person move around, you're gonna get shot to pieces.
Like Aileen said, enough personal fouls. They needed to get it together. Here we go. Big play here.
Oh, good play. Good play. That was a perfect play.
And at that point, the referee, I'm sure they're immune to it at this point, but how frustrating is that got to be? There's probably a training, like every pass that's incomplete ever in the NFL, every incomplete pass, 2 people as a referee are going to look at you and go like this, like every single play.
Course.
They could have not even touched jerseys. They're still going to go, like that's going to change the guy's mind.
I got a question for you. Right. Umpire, you're an umpire, you're a referee. All right. Mm-hmm. You have, and the reason I picked both is because for my answer would be a little different, but are you going to be tight strike zone or kind of loose, dependent upon what the pitcher gives you? And as a referee, are you going to kind of let them play a little bit, or are you going to be very tight to the rules?
Loose and play a little bit. Because with loose, you have a little room for error because, okay, well, he's been calling them kind of the high strike zone all night. When it's tight, then you're open yourself up to even more criticism, and especially in terms of referee, I understand flat. You there's going to be calls. You got to do your job, and you're not here to let things slide. However, especially on the games that we know that we're really going to stop play for this, and I get, and it's that, and with that comes time. You can't just decide game 1. I'm going to let everything, like with the referee.
That's the key.
Yeah, you have to okay. I've got my feet wet now. I've been in this league more than a cup of coffee. I can kind of start making those decisions, like what I'm going to let slide and whatnot. As a rookie, though, you probably need to call it exactly by the book. But as time goes on,
right?
Because you don't want to be, you don't want to be listening from a head official maybe of 20 years. If someone, and that goes for any profession, if someone's giving you shortcuts on your second week on the job, then you probably shouldn't be listening to that person.
Oh, absolutely.
Because
absolutely great call.
Right? Yeah. Because then you're listening. Oh, you can leave early. They won't know. And now we're stealing from the company because we're not working.
Which is what you're doing, by the way. Which is what you're doing. So, one wonderful thing I heard during my college playing, I heard this wonderful line from a referee that just made so much sense to me. Because I will admit it, I was an offensive lineman and I held every play. By the letter of the law, I held every play. What was my trick? I would stick my thumb, seriously, under the shoulder pads. So it would look like this. So you couldn't see my thumbs actually. So I would hold you for like half a second. That's all I needed. So the referee would say, and I got really good at the trick.
52-yard attempt.
Right.
Wow. He kicked that. That was like a 20-yard field goal.
So it's early, folks. So, but what the referee said was, listen, he said, if he turns, you got to let him go. So what that meant is no grabbing. And if he moves, you got to disengage. So what the referee told me was, this is my wiggle room. And it's up to me to understand that wiggle room. Tom Seaver said it the best about umpires. Just be consistent. If that's a strike in the first inning, make sure it's a strike in the ninth inning. Whatever it is, people want consistency. You might, you're playing softball. You want to know that, this is what the umpire is going to be doing, so you know how to prepare for it.
Yeah, have to be. And even something as simple, or not simple, but something as I use language, for example. You sit through a coaches meeting, an umpires meeting, and you're told, we're not tolerating this language. If we hear it, you're tossed. You're sitting a game. If we see alcohol in the field, you're tossing you. You're not playing this game. And then you get to this, everyone's in agreement, and then you get to the season and you hear bomb, this bomb, and that bomb, and nothing is being done. And then it just continues to get out of line. And then, they had an opportunity to stop it. They decided, I'd rather be their friend out here instead of doing what I'm getting paid very well to do. I mean, getting paid, even in a rec softball league, they're getting paid $26 to $32 per game, and
I'll take it.
3 or 4 games per night.
I'll tell you.
So, yeah. So, and we have they're showing the bracket here. So the Lions will be playing the lowest remaining seed, and the Eagles will be playing the other team. So that the Vikings Rams tomorrow night, it's going to be such a good game. But here we go now, 1:46 on the clock. They have 2 timeouts remaining. So let's see what happens here. Not much there on first down.
Now, how weird is it that if the Vikings beat the Rams, they may theoretically be the lowest seed. They're going to play the Lions again in a rematch.
Yeah.
They only have 2 or 3 losses. That's crazy.
That's crazy, but I wouldn't change anything. Like, I don't
No.
It needs to be that way, but I understand there could be okay. That was interesting.
He was just getting rid of that ball.
Yeah. Again, folks, only 5 for 8.
Pain is in pain right now,
not a
right?
Baker Mayfield kind of game, 64 yards and a half. But they just, like we said, they just haven't had the ball.
No.
And pain is in a lot of pain right now. Pain
Yes.
is hurting. Yes.
So halftime adjustments, folks. You cannot, if you don't score here and you have to punt, you cannot allow Washington to score again before the half.
Right. Because we don't know who gets the ball at the half.
Yep.
Because we were
nice. Baker, look at him. Fake. Oh, look at Baker.
No. Oh, now there's a flag. Now that's no flag there. Let him have the stripes there.
They might be getting Baker for faking sliding. Let's see if they call us. It's ticky tack.
What is it called though?
No, it's good. It's against Washington.
Okay.
So you cannot pretend to start your slide and then stop because somebody can get hurt doing that.
Yes.
The
Limp Bizkit song "Rollin'" was going through my head as he just continues to roll along on that play.
True.
He is a mini tank. Yep. Just keeps juking and jiving. See, that's the kind of play when I used to play. Okay. Nice play. Nice. The Baker Mayfield play, that's the kind of play that I try to do when I'm playing Madden football on the Xbox. Right. But then I get too excited and I forget which button is the dive button and which is the juke button. And I constantly have an open field and I panic and I hit the wrong button and I just dive into the open field.
Better than me. I'm just I'm a mess. I'm just shadow puppets for me.
Any amount of points here is good. So.
Oh yeah, and you're in field goal range already, just about.
Oh wow.
So here's something else to think of. Baker Mayfield is one of these quarterbacks who people would have been rushing with a minute and 50 seconds left or whatever there was. There's a lot of time left.
Yes, a
Don't
lot
rush.
of time.
Yep. Don't rush.
5 plays, 42 yards. Let's see. Okay.
Yep. And did you see what was going on in Washington just there? The Washington defensive back was yelling at the other defensive back. You can't do that. You can't do that.
Yeah. And I hear excitement from the other side of the house. And somebody takes a timeout. Was that Tampa? Yep. Second timeout for Tampa. Okay. So we will continue to stay live until the end of the first half. Thanks each one of you guys watching with us, consistently being here. We appreciate you.
And remember about the contest.
Exciting end of the first half. Baker Mayfield. What is the temperature tonight by you, Darren, up there?
Right now, let's look together, kids. I would say, yep, 28 degrees, 29 degrees.
29 degrees. Okay. We're at 50 right now. So
I'd
we'll
love
take
50. I would love 50.
50 is beautiful.
It is cold. It's been snowing a lot. Every day in the morning is like a dusting,
We
a lot of
on
black ice, unfortunately.
January 2nd, we got a special report with a 2% chance of rain in Palm Bay, Florida, back on January 2nd for today, the 12th.
Mhm.
And then 2 days later, they upped it to 8% chance of snow, and then it just went away. Unfortunately, so we had a chance, but it didn't happen.
Has it ever snowed since you lived there?
So I was told it snowed once, but there were some flurries. I think I was taking a hard nap at the time, so I didn't get to see the flurries. I know for sure it did in 88 the year before I moved down, or 89, right? The year before I moved down here. It's very common in Jacksonville and whatnot, but in Central Florida, I think it's been since 87, or if it was maybe one time since, but again, it was just flurries that dissipated before it even hit the ground. So we got from the company I work for, we were blessed with a bomber jacket that I didn't think I'd get to, like, in my head, when I think bomber jacket, I think the episode of Seinfeld where he's got that big Gucci jacket, and it wasn't that, but Eileen loves it. It doesn't quite fit me, but she loves it. So it looks really nice. And we've been blessed. Like, we're going to have up until, I think, it doesn't get warmer than until this next Saturday, folks, not this Saturday. So
there you go. Darren, that's for Darren.
It goes up to 79 degrees, but for the next 6 to 7 days, we're going to stay at 68 or below. So that's exciting. We have some time because business picks up in February. So, and we're back to, I'll never forget the last game I ever went to with Dad at at Space Coast Stadium for minor league baseball is the game where he yelled at the concession staff for not having hot coffee when it was 101 degrees.
That's so
St. Patrick's Day.
so Dad.
Yeah, and that was also, folks, the same day where I was carrying just one tray of food, nothing too heavy or anything like that. I didn't trip over anything but my own 2 feet. I went flying face first. You can see each fry in slow motion just circling in the air. And I was so upset. Like, it was so good. And I went up to the concession staff side, and I just kind of gave them a look like, please help me.
Right.
Okay.
They got the flag. They got the flag.
Yes. Another flag. Okay.
So did they give you a little reimbursement?
Oh yeah, they saw the blood. Like, I was straight up bleeding. Like, I didn't have to say any words. They knew they were just gonna.
You had a refreshment war injury.
It was the Nathan's fries, tenders, and a drink. So
this is so
everything
good.
was They had to put the cones out and all that good stuff. But they're like, oh, you tripped on the steps, huh? No, I was just excited to get back to my seat. I think I was trying to eat a fry as I was walking, if I remember correctly.
And
man, I messed my face up. Oh, what a beautiful catch. Now that could have gone horribly wrong. Evans is mildly excited there.
But it didn't.
Yep.
Extra point away from having a tie.
And we are extra point, and we got so excited that Abigail even joined us. Woohoo, big fan. So
look how excited Abigail is to be on the show. Oh, that's probably about to touch.
Yes, Abigail is the great friend of ours. Joe always watches along with us. Softball coach, co-coach with Eileen. Here we go, Big Brother fan. We got to have a Big Brother episode. We got to have Big Brother on more than once a year. I don't know what that's about. All right, so let's tie this game up here. If we've learned anything this season, extra points are not guaranteed, but that one was.
No, they're not.
So, yep.
We got tied, kids.
Baker is clapping. That is the update. He is happy. We made Baker Mayfield very happy.
Wow, he got some touch on that pass. There was a danger.
That could have gone horribly wrong.
Yeah, it really could have.
Let's see. Yep. Mayfield is the kind. You saw his offensive numbers. He's not the kind of person that is going to stay down for long. So you got to keep getting the points.
No,
What a
he
tight
just
window.
came back again. No panic. Just drove down the field, took his time. 10 seconds left, so now the other team can't score. It's perfect. So
Abigail is one of our favorite kind of listeners. Those that log in for support. They may be quiet, but they're here with us. So we appreciate you, Abigail. Thank you for watching along.
So have you been to the stadium?
I have for a WrestleMania and for
nice.
a monster truck show. So not for a football game. So
would I like the stadium?
Which one?
Would I like it? Would I enjoy
Oh yes,
it?
absolutely. It's beautiful. It's the pirate ship and everything. And
Nice.
They were supposed to do a spot at WrestleMania where someone dove off the ship through a table, but it had just poured that day, and so they decided against it. But we're still waiting on confirmation if you can actually sit in there. I know you can go in there and look around, but I feel like we were going back and forth on if you could actually sit and watch the game from there. I think the answer was yes, but I don't know for sure.
And people, remember, before we go, reach out to Mike if you want to win the audiobook of the Pale-Face Lie.
We'll be expecting one person that submits that, just sends a message to me. And for our guest next Sunday, 8:00.
David Crow. Look it up.
David Crow. Yes. And we are now at the half. So that will conclude our coverage. We would go all night, but I do have to pick the son up from work. It's frowned upon to leave your child there. So
you don't get over it. These kids today.
Yeah, fine. Yeah. But thank each and every one of you. This was a lot of fun. I can't believe it's been an hour and a half already. So again, Darren, real quick, one more time. Just can you give one more time who our guest is going to be a week from tonight?
Next week, author of a best-selling book called The Pale-Face Lie. It's a true story of his life on the Navajo reservation and having a father who moved them there because he murdered somebody and then later tried to murder his mom. It's an amazing book, The Pale-Face Lie. David Crow is the author. Yes,
and we will tie in sports to it because we tie in sports to everything here, but it will be heavy on the book, a little bit of sports. Yes, please join us a week from tonight. Invite your friends to subscribe. Help us get to 1,650 subscribers. Once again, we are at 1,643, so we are so very close. So thank each and every one of you. We hope to see some of you tomorrow night live, 8:00. Myself, Brian Anderson, live on Netflix, WWE Monday Night Raw, episode number 2. Some really good matches. Finn Balor, Damian Priest, Street Fight, and the Intercontinental. How awesome is that? The first ever Women's Intercontinental Championship, the finals, Dakota Kai and Lyra Valkyrie for the Intercontinental Championship tomorrow night.
Fabulous Moolah? No more Fabulous Moolah?
She is not with us anymore, but she had a good run. Yeah, she had a good run. Yeah, no, so funny story as we close down, I'll share. There was Fabulous Moolah had a someone named Mae Young that worked alongside her most of her career. Mm-hmm. And Mae Young, I believe she had just turned 81. And those of you that know the Dudley Boys with WWE, they were one of the most popular tag teams, synonymous for getting the tables. And so she shows up to Raw, and they use them on camera a lot, even in their 80s. And so she was 81 years old, and she shows up and she says to the writing staff, "I want to be put through a table." And they looked at her crazy, like, "You're 81, you can't do that." And she's like, "No, please put me through a table." So Bubba Ray Dudley is talking to her how he's going to protect her. He's going to make sure the whole time. She's like, "No, Bubba." I said, "Put me through a table like you put any other performer through a table." So
I love everything about this.
This is the 90s. It wouldn't see this today, but puts this 81-year-old through a table, not just through a table, but he leapt off an awning. It was crazy. And of course she didn't get a single scratch. They know what they're doing.
She's a pro.
Yeah. She's a pro. And so she even mentioned she shared that 2 years later when she turned 83 at her Hall of Fame induction.
I love that story. What a way to end this. That was awesome.
Yes. So super cool to have someone like that. And I feel, who else would have done that if she was a guest host, but that's just something that Betty White would have done too if she could at 99 years old. She's like, set the table on fire. I don't care.
I'm ready.
So thank each and every one of you. Abigail with her best Chick-fil-A impression. My pleasure. But thank each and every one of you for joining us tonight and all the subs. Get some good rest. Go ahead and watch the second half of the game. We'll be watching, just not on here. Thank each and every one of you. Subscribe, like, share, and we will see you next time around the ballpark.